Get ready to hear the truth about America on a show that's not immune to the facts with your host, Dan Bongino.
You know, Democrats can't seem to settle on a message. I mean, are we all collectively guilty for our race? You know, white privilege and we're oppressors versus oppressed. Is that correct? We're all collectively guilty. Whether you had any role in any oppression whatsoever, the left wants you to believe you're collectively guilty, which is kind of strange because after the what I thought was a very deeply disturbing anniversary of 9/11 this weekend, the left seems to have settled on a message, many of them. Yeah, it's not, you know, let's stop terrorism or any of that stuff. It's Islamophobia, which is strange because the left just told us we're all collectively guilty for things like race, religion, and other stuff. It's kind of weird, right? Different message. Yeah, very weird. Folks, loaded show on this Monday. I don't know if we're going to get through it all. A lot happened since I've last seen you on Friday. Let's get to it. Today's show brought to you by ExpressVPN. You don't like big tech tracking you online? Yeah, me either. That's why I have a VPN. Get one. Go to expressvpn.com/Bongino. Welcome to the Dan Bongino Show. I've got that. I've got the worst 9/11 take yet from the left. Also, some of the best, some good stuff, including a little bit of levity. A guy who told Joe Biden not to. Joe, did you see it? I know you haven't introduced you. Did you see? Don't sniff them. Don't sniff them. I'm sorry. I know it's not a time. We'll get to that, so don't go anywhere. I know. Joe saw it. Everybody else has seen it in the show. We'll get to that in a minute. Hey, did you know a third of Americans regularly suffer from nausea? I know I did. They're undergoing chemo, which really kind of sucked. 2 thumbs down for chemo. But you know what made it easier? Relief Band. This is my actual Relief Band. Worn in pretty good. I love our partner Relief Band. They helped me get through, like I said, chemo pretty straightforward for me, man. Boom, right through. Relief Band's the #1 FDA-cleared anti-nausea wristband, has been clinically proven to quickly relieve and effectively prevent nausea and vomiting associated with motion sickness, anxiety, migraines, hangovers, morning sickness, chemotherapy, and more. It's 100% drug-free, non-drowsy, provides all natural relief with 0 side effects for as long as needed. The technology was originally developed over 20 years ago in hospitals to relieve nausea from patients, but now, through Relief Band, it's available to the masses. Relief Band stimulates a nerve in the wrist, right? You see it right through that device right there. That travels to the part of the brain that controls nausea, and it blocks the signal your brain is sending to your stomach telling you you're sick. It's really that simple. It's the only over-the-counter wearable device that's been used in hospitals and oncology clinics to treat nausea and vomiting. Worked for me. Just turn it on, turn it up, turn it down right there. Real simple. Ensure nausea is never the reason to miss out on life's important moments. Right now, Relief Band has an exclusive offer just for Dan Bongino Show listeners. If you go to reliefband.com and use promo code Bongino, you'll receive 20% off plus free shipping and a no questions asked 30-day money-back guarantee. So head to reliefband.com and use our promo code Bongino for 20% off. That's reliefband.com, promo code Bongino. All right, Joe, let's go.
All right.
Yeah, Joe. Whoa. I know why Joe's I'm not saying, but I know why Joe's a little sedated today. A little bit. I know why. I'm not saying.
Okay.
But Joe, my prayers are with you because I hate that kind of issue you just told me about. He's going to live, folks. He's going to live, I promise. Maybe we'll tell you after Friday. Is that okay, Joe?
Yeah. That's great.
He's going to make it. I promise, folks. All right, let's get to the show. We got a lot going on. So Democrats can't seem to settle on a message. You know, it was the 20th anniversary of 9/11. I don't know how many of you saw my Fox show Unfiltered, but the show looked nothing like the original show. And I said that. Not to relitigate the show. You've already seen it. This is a separate show, my podcast, but if I can only show you what was in the teleprompter, the cues and all that stuff before, and then what the actual show turned into. Because I said about 3-4 hours before the show, I was talking to Sabrina, Will, and Kirsten, who produced the show. And it's like 3-4 hours before we went to Saturday at 10, before we went on the air. And I had been watching 9/11 video all day. And I just wasn't in the mood for anything optimistic, folks. I'm sorry. You know, it's a new week and life does go on. But I opened up the beginning of the show and I said, you heard the old adage, right? Time heals all wounds. And I asked, does it? Because I don't feel healed at all. I know many of you don't either. Matter of fact, I feel as pissed off today as I did 20 years ago, and I said that on the air. And I spiked every story in the show that wasn't involved with 9/11 and said, no, this is what we're going to do. And it was my idea. It wasn't, the producers are great. They, we work together, but, I had other ideas, and I said, nah, scrap it. In other words, it wasn't their fault. The show is mine. I just read the day wrong. I just did. I didn't know I would have that tidal wave of emotion back again. I read it all wrong. I read myself all wrong. And I'm still raging over it. But what I find bizarre, again, is how, the roughly 30-40% of the country that classify themselves as left-leaning Democrats, or in some cases radical Democrats, I'm sure they wouldn't describe themselves as radical, but they are, they can't seem to settle on a message. Here's Justin Trudeau. Now, this is Justin Trudeau is obviously Canadian, but he represents much of the American left. I've heard a lot of this. I've seen a lot of it in coverage. Who their message on 9/11, instead of a message attacking the terrorists who used Islam to murder 3,000 Americans. No. Their concern on 9/11 was more about Islamophobia, which, let me be clear, that is a collective guilt issue. And obviously, Islamophobia is a stain, okay? Because we don't condemn people collectively based on the guilt of a few people. We don't do that. But it's weird how the left does. See, we're consistent, right? You're not collectively guilty for the sins of someone else. You're not, right? The left can't seem to settle on a message. Here's Trudeau, who wants to talk about 9/11, wants to talk about Islamophobia. Clearly, he's saying no one is collectively guilty for the sins of those hijackers. No one. Check this out.
And I also can't help on this anniversary to reflect on Muslim Canadians for whom things also changed on September 11th as attitudes shifted. And that reminds us that over these past years and continuing today and into the future, we all need to stand together against intolerance, hatred, racism, and Islamophobia.
So just to be clear, there's the left, and it's Trudeau, but a lot of, again, American leftists and media types had the same message. Big concern today is Islamophobia. Listen, any phobia is a concern because conservatives, unlike liberal hypocrite frauds like Trudeau, the American media, and others, don't believe someone is guilty for the sins of another simply because they have the same religion or same skin color. That's what we believe. That's what we believe. Conservatives. Big R, God-given rights. Everybody should be judged by their own character and their own actions. None of this is mysterious. The left does not believe that. They only believe that when it comes to people who practice Islam. That's all they believe, meaning they don't believe it at all. They don't believe it at all. You doubt me? Here is a lunatic media reporter from the LA Times, some woman, Jean Guerra, I don't know it doesn't even matter. I don't even care. She's on CNN, bizarrely claiming that she's white, by the way. She's white, claiming that the black Republican candidate for governor in California, Larry Elder, is somehow a white supremacist. So again, if you practice Islam, you're not responsible for the actions of people on 9/11. And you're not. Conservatives believe that. But liberals are very concerned about a collective sense of guilt. Everybody's collective. They're concerned about it until they can impose collective guilt on everyone else who's a white supremacist, even if you're black. Check this out.
He's essentially been running his campaign on Fox News and on right-wing media outlets. He's refused to talk to large, to nonpartisan and media outlets and to journalists who are critical of him. Has refused to answer difficult questions. Often uses the few interviews that he does give as an opportunity to give a performance on social media. Denouncing those journalists and playing the victim. But he has been able to reach the minority of voters in California who embrace his white supremacist worldview.
Oh. This is Joe. That's real. We didn't edit that. I mean, it's only edited for time. It's stunning. So again, Larry Elder, who happens to be black, is collectively guilty for the crimes of, quote, whites, as pointed out by a white reporter about the black Larry Elder. But again, people who practice Islam are not responsible for the terror acts. You see how, which is correct, by the way. And unlike them, we're actually consistent. Larry Elder is a what? Folks, these people are fundamentally not serious. I want you to catch them in this logic trap every single time they bring up critical race theory and the white oppressor. I want you to ask very, very simple, pointed, to-the-point questions. I want you to say very simply, so you're claiming that someone is an oppressor simply because of skin color. They're collectively guilty. So you believe in collective guilt, correct? You do. That's what you said. Are Americans who practice Islam guilty for the sins of those on 9/11, the terrorists? Of course they're not. Okay, thanks. So there's no collective guilt. So there's collective guilt for whites, but not people who practice Islam. I'm just trying to pin you down on your answer here, folks. Just trying to pin you down because they're phonies. These people are total frauds. Here's ABC News again. This is on September 11th. This is an article. Again, not focused on terrorism, how 9/11 still affects Islamophobia and discrimination against Muslim Americans. Here we go. What is it? Is collective guilt a bad thing, or is it not a bad thing? The answer is it's a bad thing. Be a conservative, you'll find consistency in your life. Of course you can't. You're a liberal. You don't have any principles. You're just making it up as you go along. All right, moving on because I've got a lot to get to. The worst 9/11 take of the day. This guy is a tool bag like you've never seen before. The only reason I don't consider him for the dopey talking head Olympics is he's not important enough and very few people know who he is. I ran into this guy once. He was in like a cafe at Politicon in LA. And I wanted to say something, but I usually, you know what? It's just not appropriate. So I left it. The guy was by himself and I just let it go. But here's Jonathan Capehart, one of the dumbest guys on television. Here's him talking about after 9/11. This was the worst 9/11 take I could find out there. And there were a lot of stupid ones. That the MAGAsphere, again, collective guilt. If you voted for Trump, you're collectively guilty for some phantom crime Trump supporters have committed. They don't even have an actual crime. Here you go. Here's Jonathan Capehart. MAGA is more worrisome than terrorism. Check this out.
I think MAGA and the domestic terror threat is much more worrisome than any foreign threat we could face.
MAGA is more. Collective guilt is back. Collective guilt, not for people who practice Islam, but MAGA supporters, you're collectively guilty for some phantom crime Trump people are putting out there. That they can't settle on a message because they don't have a message. This is the very hallmark of liberalism, which is total subjectivity. The rules change like that because all liberals care about is power. And when they feel like they can make conservatives look like they're Islamophobes by pinning this label on them, they will do it, imputing and also refuting collective guilt. But when they feel like they can make you look like a white supremacist being responsible for the crimes of someone else who happen to be white, collective guilt is back. I don't want to leave you with all bad news, of course. 9/11, the 20th year anniversary. Again, I read my own emotions that day all wrong. I was not ready to go on the air live at 10 p.m. with anything other than a sense of rage. And I'm sorry. Candidly, my wife didn't like the show. I got a lot of great feedback on it, but she didn't. Paula thought, the show was very dour and down. And I said, I'm sorry, but that's how I felt. That was me. That's okay. A lot of us, as a matter of fact, he and us on Friday, we don't always agree on the show. And that's okay. I don't like yes people. But it wasn't about whether I liked the show or not on Saturday night. I felt I owed you authenticity. You're owed that. And I wasn't feeling optimistic on Friday night. But there are some good things that happened over the weekend. Here is a very nice gesture by the United Kingdom during their changing of the guard, where after 9/11, they played our national anthem. And they did it again 20 years later. Keep in mind, the United Kingdom now. By the way, they pulled their vaccine passport. The United Kingdom is actually giving us some lessons right now. Not in the economy where they're raising taxes again, which is super weird for Boris Johnson to do. I mean, he's turning into a big liberal Democrat. But here's the UK. Thank you, United Kingdom. I thought this was a nice gesture. Check this out. That was very nice of him to do that. Here's another good moment. Again, I don't want to leave you with all bad news. There was I think, a renewed sense of patriotism this weekend amongst a lot of people, not all, but a lot. Good swaths of the country. I hope that stays. Here's the Army game, the Army football team, which I think won last week. I don't know. Ironically, I don't know. I haven't followed much this weekend. I've been so busy putting the show together. But here is the Army football team at West Point coming out, everyone holding an American flag. This is a really powerful moment. Check this out.
The cadets who are taking the field with 3 first responders, all with American flags, onto the field at Mikey Stadium as they are fired up after a wonderful win last week against Georgia State and bringing all that emotion here to West Point for the home opener.
That was great to see. And just quick, because I want to power through this, I really do have a ton to get to. This was such a huge news weekend. Here is a little bit of levity. All right, folks, this one is like, I debated putting this in, but it is hilarious. So Joe Biden, a couple of this is just New Yorkers, right? I'm a New Yorker. I know how New Yorkers are. If anyone has the right to express an opinion about 9/11, it's New Yorkers. So Joe Biden showed up at a very somber ceremony on 9/11, the reading of the names, which happens every year. And a couple of New Yorkers just weren't having it. And I love the accent on this guy filming this. I can't even do a New York accent anymore. It's kind of embarrassing because I spent most of my adult life in New York, was raised in New York, was born in New York. I'm a Queens kid, have been most of my life up until 20. And I can't do a New York accent anymore, which is horrifying. Terrible. You got to listen to this guy here as he's videotaping Joe Biden. I don't know. Joe's like laughing. It's probably a terrible New York accent. Gee, was it bad? It was Gee's shaking his head. Yeah, I don't know. I think he's just being nice. But listen to the guy at the end in the background as Joe Biden approaches a bunch of kids and what I don't. This is just. I'm sorry. I got to just play it. Check it out.
You're a mud for what you did to Afghanistan. Terrible. Don't sniff him. Terrible. Don't sniff him.
See, this is embarrassing. Armacost, who's like Scottish from Maryland, does a better New York accent than me, the Italian kid literally from Queens. Like this is really horrible. And that's New York. You hear the guy? He's like, "You're a mutt for what you did to Afghanistan." That's New Yorkers. You're a mutt. That's a total, like Joey Bag of Donuts. That's a total New York term. You're a mutt. By the way, there are very few things worse in New York than being called a mutt. Like a mutt is like that. And it's almost an insult to dogs in some cases. You're a mutt. You're terrible. That's a total New York. And the guy at the end, as he approaches a kid, I got to laugh. He says, "Don't sniff him. Don't sniff him. Don't sniff him. Don't sniff him." I'm sorry. I All right, enough. Stop laughing. I've been laughing at this whole weekend. All right, let me get to my second sponsor. And changing kind of gears a little bit. Coming up after this, a very, very serious article coming up afterwards from American Greatness, where he asks a question: are we already in a cold civil war? I read it this week and I was like, whoa, like we really have to talk about this piece. It's amazing. Coming up next. Folks, Helix. I've had my Helix mattress for years. I love it. The best mattress I've ever had. Well, why? Here's the key. Helix Sleep is a quiz. It takes 2 minutes to complete and it matches your body type and sleep preferences. The perfect mattress for you. With Helix, you're getting a mattress you know will be perfect for the way you sleep. We're all unique. Helix knows that. So they have several different mattress models to choose from. They have soft, they have medium, firm. They have mattresses good for cooling you down if, like me, you sleep hot. Mattresses great for spinal alignment to prevent morning aches and pains. You know that. Even a Helix Plus mattress for plus-size sleepers. I took the Helix quiz. I was matched with the Midnight Lux because I sleep on my side and I like something firm. You may not. So if you're looking for a mattress, take the quiz. Then order the mattress you're matched to. The mattress comes right to your door, shipped for free. You don't have to go to a mattress store again. Helix's financing options and flexible payment plans, so a great night's sleep is never far away. They even have a special financing offer where you can get your own Helix, the #1 rated mattress in America, for less than $1 a day. So if you buy a Queen Standard mattress or even treat yourself and get the Luxe model, you can qualify to pay less than $28 a month over 36 months. It's a limited time offer, and it ends on September 19, 2021. So you got to move on it. If you want to upgrade your sleep, now is the time to do it. Go to helixsleep.com/Dan. Take their 2-minute sleep quiz, and they'll match you to a customized mattress that'll give you the best sleep of your life. They have a 10-year warranty, and you get to try it out for 100 nights risk-free. They'll even pick it up for you if you don't love it. You will. I know we do. Helix is offering up to $200 off all mattress orders and 2 free pillows for our listeners. Go today to helixsleep.com/Dan, HELIX, helixsleep.com/Dan. Go today. Thanks, Helix. Okay. This is a really profound article I read this week, and I want to get right to it. It asks a pretty bold question. Are we already in a cold civil war with the left? And if we are, why haven't many on the right woken up to that fact? Now, I don't think that's many in my audience who've been woken up to this a long time ago, but there are many in the D.C. swamp who still believe that the left views us as just people with bad ideas. They don't. They don't. How many times do I have to say this? The left does not view us as people with bad ideas. They view us as bad people with ideas. There's a huge difference. Bad people with ideas. They don't care what your ideas are. They see you as bad people. That is important. You must understand the distinction. Here's the article by Thomas D. Kligenstein at American Greatness. It'll be in my newsletter today, bongino.com/newsletter. Subscribe for free. Please check it out. It's called Winning the Cold Civil War. Goes through the steps. And step number 1 is Cold Civil War we're in. We have the American left and us. Folks, first the step is recognizing that we are in a cold civil war. It is zero sum. You have one side, us. That when I say zero sum, that means that whatever is right on one side has to be wrong on the other side. Whatever is taken here has to be given there. These things can't exist at the same time, okay? There is no overlapping of the circles here. Does everybody understand that? This is not the Democrat Party of the 50s, where the overlapping circle between the right and the left was what? Well, we all love America. We all want our kids to grow up in a prosperous country. That is not what's happening anymore. Maybe for some Democrats who are moderate, but the liberal left hates this country and wants to see it go away. Stat. They just do. You must accept that. It is critical you accept that because we believe in things like liberty, free and fair elections, judging people by their character, not their skin color or their religion. The left does not believe that. Those two things cannot exist. Here, getting back to the piece, from this American Greatness piece. He says, winning this cold civil war requires 2 fundamental understandings. First, you must understand that you are, in fact, in a war. Wartime requires very different rhetoric, strategy, and people than peacetime. Trump is a wartime leader. Second, you must understand your enemy, what it wants, and how it goes about getting what it wants. What our enemy wants is the destruction of the American way of life. It goes about it by trying to force everyone to say America is systemically racist. If it can convince us of this falsehood, it will be well on its way to overturning the American way of life. Folks, we got to recognize we are in a cold civil war for liberty and freedom in the future of this country. There are people that want to take the liberty and freedom of others away. Everything from mandates to teaching our kids CRT, which is the taking away of their freedom because they're not free. They're supposed to be treated differently if they're white because they're oppressors. You treat an oppressor differently than you treat someone who's oppressed, whether they're oppressing or not. They want to take your liberty and freedom away. We have to recognize we are, in fact, in a war for the spirit of this country. We still have people up in Congress and the Senate, the Mitt Romney types, this loser up in Illinois, Adam Kinzinger, a total zero, who just don't get it. They believe if they play tiddlywinks with the left and roast s'mores with them around a campfire and sing campfire songs, they believe the left will leave us alone. They really love America too. They don't. A lot of moderate Democrats, yes, do, and just see the world a little differently. That is not the radical left. They hate you. They see you as bad people with ideas. There's a difference. That's why I'm constantly saying new rules, folks. The new rules are we win, you lose. You want to play by the old rules? Oh, let's sit around and discuss it and debate the value of liberty and freedom. They don't care. They don't care. We have to just vote these people out and get rid of them in the political ecosystem. They're killing and destroying this country. Right. We got to recognize their motives, too. Recognize it's a war and recognize their motives. Their motives on the left are totalitarian power. That is their motive. Stop pretending it's anything else. All right, moving on, because this topic infuriates me. But the second screenshot from this piece, and I want to fault myself here. When I have to make a correction, I will. I got another one coming up later, which is important. Something I met someone this weekend. I used to say on this show, you can go find it yourself. My episodes and my entire library are still there. That I really believe the free market would find the solution to corporate censorship and elsewhere. And I used to use the line often, and I meant it. I used to say, I'm not willing to trade the power of corporations I can get away from for the power of a government I can't. This is a little deeper than I intended, this section, but my logic there was I don't want the government to try to do anything to stop YouTube, Twitter, or Facebook. That was my position. I'm not here to run away from it. I'm not here to pretend it didn't happen, but that was my position for a long time. I had a very libertarian leaning. The free market will figure it out eventually. You know, with discussions with people I've had like Michael Knowles and others and other thought leaders around the movement, ladies and gentlemen, I've changed my position significantly. Because the government now has taken a subordinate role. The government now avoids complications of violating the Bill of Rights, your right to assemble and your right to speak, by deputizing private industry and letting them do it themselves. They wink and a nod to YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook, and they've ushered in a new era of censorship addressed in this piece. And that must be stopped. And if that's with government power, then we have to do it. And I'm sorry to my, many of my friends who think that, liberty is in letting the free market try to solve an existential human rights problem. It's not. It isn't anymore. Here, from the piece. This addresses this from the American Greatness piece. In a traditional totalitarian regime, the government uses arbitrary violence to control every aspect of public and private life, all the way down to Little League. In America, the government does not control everything. Pay attention here, it's important. But today, through the power of the purse and the courts, the government influences a lot. And where the government leaves off, the cultural business complex takes over. Yes. Here's how the left is doing it now. And why traditional, straight, air quotes, liberty, because it was not liberty. I was wrong. Where the traditional, leave the government out of it, the free market will figure out, has totally failed us. The government has figured out they can practice a new form of socialism. They don't need violence. They don't need to steal your business straight out the government like they would in the Soviet Union, right? The government's figured out if they regulate your business to death and they tax it to death, they own it already. It's what Kevin Williamson in his book, The Idiot's Guide to Socialism, or whatever it was. I forget, but it's a good book. It's not a huge fan of mine, but I don't care. Good ideas are good ideas. He says, we don't need to practice old-style socialism in the United States, where the government just takes your business and controls the means of production. If it imposes a bunch of rules that make no sense and then taxes all of your income, it owns it anyway. And then when you start a business that they don't like, what do? They just use the private sector to take you down. That doesn't happen, Dan. Does it? So I used to be involved with Parler a long time ago. It's funny. I remember the government didn't come in like communists and get rid of Parler. They just used the private industry to do the dirty work for them. Remember AOC and Ro Khanna tweeting out, hey, AWS, Google, Apple, be a real shame if you got rid of Parler, wink and a nod. And they did. You think the free market's going to solve that? The free market in this case was not free, and the free market were accomplices to the crime. Here's the third part of this piece. It's fantastic. again, covers the new rules I've said. The new rules are we win, you lose. Put aside your old, we can't use government to fight back. Government's an inherently bad thing. It usually is. But what else you want to use? The free market that's allied against you? Do rights matter or not? The piece says, how should Republicans respond? What should we do about all this? The essential thing, as I've tried to stress, is for Republicans to understand that we're in a war and act accordingly. War is not a time for too much civility, compromise, or for imputing good motives to the enemy, like Adam Kinzinger and Mittens Romney do. I threw that in there. Our generals must fight as if the choice were between liberty and death. This is no time for sunshine patriots. Amen, Brother Thomas. You either understand that this fight is critical and existential, or you don't. You want to sit down and, write white papers all day? You go right ahead. We're going to go out and win elections and take our government back. And we're going to run on candidates that believe in what we believe in.
Dude,
busy
I am
two-pager
so glad that you brought this topic up. I am so glad. Thank you.
Well, how long have we been talking about this? How long have we been talking about this?
Thank you.
And we've been talking about two things here, because you've been with me from the beginning. One, I was wrong on. I'm telling you, I was wrong on it. Oh, the free market will figure this out, folks. The government is always and every time going to be and it is. But it's the only tool we've got right now. And then second, the new rules. Everybody, let's just sit down and have a debate with the left. It's not working. It's not working. Rights are evaporating every day. It's not working. All right. Thanks, Joe. I appreciate it. Coming up next is an important, obviously, election coming up. California election, recall election tomorrow. The most grotesque media headline I have ever seen, and that's saying a lot. Coming up next. Hey, I'm an Omaha Steaks household here. I am. I love them. I eat them all the time. So this weekend, Joe, I gave Guy some of the Omaha Steaks burgers. Guy, you bought a grill this weekend, right? Guy and his lovely wife went out, grilled up some Omaha burgers. No joke, came in Monday morning. Tell me how awesome the burgers. And the first thing he said when he walked into it, not a joke. Yes, they are a sponsor, but I only take on sponsors where I use a product where I believe in it. Yeah. Omaha, if you could send Guy his own personal order, he'd love you. He's very happy. So I teamed up with Omaha Steaks. I don't know if you guys know this, to create my own custom box of my favorite Omaha Steaks food. Go to omahasteaks.com and type Bongino in the search bar and shop the Bongino Family Favorites box. It includes my personal favorites: Omaha cut ribeyes, jumbo cooked shrimp, chicken breast, potatoes au gratin, signature seasoning, and triple berry tartlets. I haven't really told you about the triple berry tartlets yet, but you've been missing out. Plus, when you use code Bongino, you'll save over 50%. That's 50. And you'll get 12 free Omaha Steaks burgers that Guy's been talking about all morning. They're basically a steak between buns. This package is only available for a limited time, so order today. Omaha Steaks isn't just steak. It's the best steak of your life, guaranteed. Try my package here. Again, just put Bongino in the search bar. Trust me. Go to omahasteaks.com. Enter keyword Bongino. Save over 50% when you order the Bongino's Favorites box. Plus, get 12 free Omaha Steaks burgers. It's a limited time deal and a chance for you to try my favorite items from Omaha Steaks. Order now. Enjoy a delicious meal with the ones you love. That's omahasteaks.com. Enter keyword Bongino. Give that a try. You won't regret it. All right. So vote, California. Vote. Remember my 10, 10, and 10 rule. What's my 10, 10, and 10 rule? Today. Do this today. Please. I'm begging you. Do this today. Obviously, you vote, but that's not good enough. You voting's not good enough. We are vastly outnumbered in California. Follow the 10, 10, and 10 rule. Please call 10 people today. It's a small task. Call 10 people and make sure they're getting out to vote. If you can't call 10 people, can you send 10 emails or send one email to 10 people? It's not hard. Please vote tomorrow. Here's the California State Board of Elections site where you can find where to vote, whatever it may be. Just one email. Send it to 10 of your friends. If you don't want to do that, please send 10 tweets, 10 Parler posts, 10 Getter posts, 10 Facebook posts between today and tomorrow, asking people to go out and vote. We have got to do our best to take back California. But let me just add, I think California, regardless of the outcome, and this is not me virtue signaling to anyone or being hyperbolic. I really do believe California is already a win. I'd rather win outright, obviously, and get Larry Elder or Kevin Kiley or whatever candidate you choose in there. Whoever's not Gavin Newsom. Folks, they had to spend $70 million in California for a gubernatorial election they already won. We spent, 15? So we've got a net $55 million hole the Democrats had to spend to win a governor's race they already won. How did we lose? And this is a close race. At least the polling seems to indicate as such today. How did we lose? It shows again. Smile a little bit today. Regardless of the outcome, I don't want you to think, and I'm not trying to tell you in advance we're not going to win. I'm not doing any of that. I'm optimistic. I hope we have a shot. I'm very optimistic we do. I'm just saying to you, hold your head high, please. I'm not kidding. This was a huge win. It showed that even in blue California, the bluest state in the union, we can organize and we can make their politics sting too. Now, the LA Times, which is a grotesque, disgusting newspaper. Whoever did this is just human filth. This is the most disgusting headline I've ever seen. So Larry Elder was attacked, him and his team, in a violent racist attack by a deranged racist lunatic in an ape costume. Larry Elder is obviously black. A disgusting racist attack. So the LA Times decided they were going to put out a headline because they had to report on this story given how serious it was. And you're like, oh, so what's the downside? Here's the headline with the pay very close attention to the photo. The LAPD is investigating the altercation involving Larry Elder at Venice homeless encampment. Yeah, they had to. His team was attacked violently. But notice the picture they use. The altercation, the picture, as you can see if you're watching on Rumble, folks, please, rumble.com/Bongino, please watch this. Look at the picture they use. It's a picture of a totally different incident, not the incident where Larry Elder was attacked by a woman in an ape costume. It's a picture of Larry Elder getting off a campaign bus, and it appears he's slapping a woman. Like, wait, seeming to imply that Larry Elder's under investigation for hitting a woman. Now, here's the actual event. Here's Monkey Girl in the monkey costume, an obvious racist, appearing to throw an egg at Larry Elder there after she, on video, attacked Elder's security guards, and others did too. That's the actual incident. But notice they didn't use that picture. They used that. Well, here's the video from the woman who was involved in that actual picture, not the one with the alleged or appeared to be slap. Here's the actual video. Here's what happened. Please check this out.
Oh, there he is. Yeah. Hey! Welcome to Venice.
I have a great news to introduce you to. This is Kyla. She's a mother too.
Oh, so the woman's actually a Larry Elder supporter, and Larry's getting off the bus to give the woman a hug, and the picture is taken as Larry is going to reach around her shoulder to give the woman a hug, but it's made to look like Larry Elder's slapping the woman. What a disgusting, grotesque example of exactly where we are with the disgraceful Pravda-like American media, the LA Times, a disgraceful media outlet. Not only doesn't show the picture of Monkey Girl in an ape costume in a racist attack on Larry, but uses a picture from a totally different event, entirely out of context, to make it seem Larry Elder's under investigation for slapping, air quotes, a woman he was hugging. People are disgusting. Vote, please. I'm begging you to vote. 10, 10, and 10. 10 phone calls, 10 social media posts, 10 emails. Please. You have until tomorrow. Please, please get out and vote. All right, moving on. So a correction for the show, but it's important. The truth matters. So I was at an event this weekend, and I ran into a nice gentleman, and he came up to me as a photo line. I was on the photo line for about 2 hours. My leg was killing me. You know, I had that vein taken out of my leg. So it was a tough time standing. Wow, boo-hoo, poor me. Why did I even say that? That sounds so snowflakey. Cut that out of the show. Just kidding. Leave it in the show. But it was snowflakey. And I'm rewinding the tape. Forget I just said that. But a guy comes up to me on the line, and he hands me a card. He was from the Jupiter Medical Center. I'm not going to say his name because the leftists will want to, go and burn his building down or whatever. Do you remember Jupiter Medical Center? Is that ringing a bell for any of you? Joe, you remember Jupiter Medical Center? I know Guy did. That was the, remember the video I had you cut of the alleged walkout at the hospital facility?
Yeah.
Well, that was Jupiter Medical Center.
Okay.
So I run into a guy. I haven't told Joe any of this. That's why he sounds confused, because he's hearing it as you are, folks, the first time. Nice, really nice guy. He's at obviously a Republican event, so you can have a general idea of his politics, I'm assuming. And he's like, Dan, you really kind of did us wrong there. He's like, it wasn't a walkout at all. He's like, I'm from Jupiter Medical Center. That was MSNBC. And I felt really bad. And I want to correct the record because it's important. He's like, that was MSNBC that did that. No one was walking out. It was really just an event promoting, the public health, the vaccine stuff. They're doctors. So he's like, no one walked out. So to the staff at Jupiter Medical Center, seriously, I promise you it was done with no ill intent. We were really just following what MSNBC reported as a walkout, but that's not an excuse. I myself should have obeyed the Bongino rule, which is, right, Joe? 72 hours. Let a story brew for 72 hours, and then the truth will typically come out. Clearly, MSNBC wanted a narrative out there that you unvaccinated losers, look, even doctors are walking out around the country. That is not what happened at that event. So to the crew at Jupiter Medical Center, you have my sincere apologies. I should have known it was Joe Scarborough. He's a fake news guy. I should have known the story wasn't real. The guy assured me it was in no way, shape, or form intended to, even implied that this was some kind of a walkout. It was really just a public health awareness event. So I felt really bad. And I think it's important we correct that. It's the right thing to do. So thank you to the staff at Jupiter Medical Center. And I got to say, I was there. I know the place well. That's why I was so bothered by the story. Do you know that? I had a surgery there on my left elbow with a really great doctor. I'm not naming names because the left will probably try to burn the place down now that they find out it wasn't a walkout, because they're crazy like that. Mm-hmm. All right, moving on. So, the COVID madness continues, folks. I noticed something. I saw this story at the Washington Examiner today by David Hogberg. Northwestern states struggle with Delta variant surge. So I looked at some of the states, and one of them was a liberal state, Oregon. So, of course, I'm going to play for you a bunch of videos coming up about how the media that has attacked Ron DeSantis for the same Delta surge, which is not controllable based on your politics or anything. The virus does what the virus does. I'm going to show you a bunch of videos, Guy, cue them up, 5 or 6 from the media attacking the blue state governor of Oregon for the Delta surge like they did for Ron DeSantis. Just kidding. Of course, we're not going to play any of that because there isn't any of that. When a blue state has a surge, nobody cares at all. When a red state has a surge, it's the subject of endless scrutiny. Ron DeSantis, death DeSantis, death DeSantis. Ron DeSantis is killing people. Blue state governor of Oregon, blue state governor of Hawaii, a brutal surge. Nobody bothers them at all. And ladies and gentlemen, I'm not suggesting they should. Again, unlike leftists, I have actual principles, not like loser, imbecile leftists. And these governors can't do anything. It's a virus. It spreads. No, either Ron DeSantis or the governor of Oregon or the governor of Hawaii is going to do a damn thing to stop this virus. It will either burn itself out through natural immunity and herd immunity or a combination of vaccination, therapeutics, treatments, whatever it may be. Of course, we're not going to play you any videos of that, but we do have some videos. You know what? Before we get to those, let me get to my last sponsor. And I want to. Here's Fauci coming up next. Fauci saying the quiet part out loud again. And oh my gosh, natural immunity. All of a sudden, Fauci's confused. Fauci, who's stayed in the Holiday Inn Express last night, I guess, and pretends to be a doctor on TV, right? He's a doctor. Fauci's all of a sudden recognizing natural immunity is a thing, which is just figured that out. Strange. Neither me, Joe, or Guy are medical professionals. We were aware of that whole chicken pox thing. Folks, We the People holsters, listen, there are a ton of holster companies out there, lots of styles. Sadly, a lot of it's just cheap garbage made overseas. I know, I had one of those holsters. I chucked it. About 5 years ago, We the People reached out and said, hey, we'd like to be a sponsor on your show. I said, nope, not until I see your product. They sent me this. This is 5 years old. I have banged this thing around like you wouldn't believe. Dropped it. In and out, inside the waistband, outside the waistband, and it's still kicking. This is my We the People holster for my Glock 43. See how it's custom molded? See how that clip, you can adjust it right there on the back? If you're looking for a holster of high quality like I have, go to wethepeopleholsters.com/Dan right now. Guaranteed for life, these holsters. They have thousands of options to choose from, plus a selection of custom printed holsters like this one that are right for your lifestyle and your firearm. We the People holsters are custom molded to fit your exact firearm for a precise, quick, smooth draw. Plus, their proprietary clip on the back allows you to adjust the cant in the ride. So you're not doing this all day. Oh my gosh, my hip bone. You can ride comfortably with it. In and out of a car, it's perfect. Don't forget to check out their complete line of patriotic apparel too. And they have an industry-leading gun belt with the proprietary Talon buckle and a line of bacon jerky. Yes, doesn't get more American than bacon jerky. Whenever I take it out, my dog starts smelling it. Go to wethepeopleholsters.com/Dan right now. Get an additional $10 off with the offer code Dan. Every holster comes with a lifetime guarantee. If it's not a perfect fit, send it back for a full refund. wethepeopleholsters.com/Dan. wethepeopleholsters.com/Dan. Check them out today. Thanks, We the People. Okay, so the COVID madness continues. Again, we will see no coverage of the blue states suffering a really dreadful, surge. And listen, there's nothing they can do. So here's Fauci. He's asked this weekend about natural immunity. Natural immunity, meaning you've had COVID, you recovered from COVID. Do you have antibodies, memory B, and T cells? The answer is yes, of course you do. So if you have those, a lot of people are asking the question, then what's the benefit of a vaccine if you have natural immunity? So Fauci's asked this question by Sanjay Gupta on CNN. It's like, here, check this out.
There was a study that came out of Israel about natural immunity. And basically the headline was that natural immunity provides a lot of protection, even better than the vaccines alone. What are people to make of that? So as we talk about vaccine mandates, I get calls all the time. People say, I've already had COVID. I'm protected. And now the study says maybe even more protected than the vaccine alone. Should they also get the vaccine? How do you make the case to them?
You know, that's a really good point, Sanjay. I don't have a really firm answer for you on that. That's something that we're going to have to discuss regarding the durability of the response. The one thing the paper from Israel didn't tell you is whether or not, as high as the protection is with natural infection, what's the durability compared to the durability of a vaccine.
Guy just nailed it. We listen to this as you guys do. The mandate first for the vaccine. Let's discuss if it actually works later on. Like, this is why nobody trusts this guy. Just please stop talking. Americans are at the point now where whatever Fauci says, they're like, I think I'm going to do the opposite. And then another thing Guy brought up this morning. We have this, we can search for sound. That's why we have so much sound, audio, and video in the show. So Guy's like, Joe, this is a good point, right? Guy says to me this morning, he goes, Dan, I guarantee you, if you were to put in any search engine where we go for our sound and stuff, Fauci taking contradictory opinions, you'll find it. Fauci loves masks. Fauci hates masks. Fauci thinks mandates are great. Fauci thinks mandates are terrible. Fauci thinks we should wear 2 masks. Fauci thinks we don't need masks. Fauci thinks we need just put anything in there. And you will see 2 contradictory statements by Fauci. This is why nobody trusts this guy. But he brings up a point at the end, again, I've been making the entire time, it's not news here, about, is natural immunity durable? Good question. You know what the answer, Joe, is? I have the answer. Here's the answer. I don't know. Neither does anyone else. We've only had coronavirus tragically with us for about 2 years. So tautologically, we have no idea if coronavirus durability from a natural infection is good for any more than 2 years, because it's only been here 2 years. Hello, McFly. My point is, Fauci's acknowledging a knowledge deficit. So maybe we should figure out how long immunity lasts from an infection before we impose a vaccine mandate to give people immunity they may already have. I'm just throwing that out there. I'm not a doctor. I'm just throwing it out there because it's common sense. You may have immunity for a long time. You may not. Maybe we should get the answer to that first. They do the bozo thing. By the way, there is data out there. Now, to be clear, this is not peer-reviewed, but the data from Israel is very compelling. Here, you want to look it up? About natural immunity, comparing SARS-CoV-2 natural immunity to vaccine-induced immunity, reinfections versus breakthrough infections. Again, it's not peer-reviewed data yet, but it is data by respected people in Israel who've sadly suffered another outbreak. And they're figuring out that natural immunity, at least in the short time frame we've had it, because we've only had coronavirus with us for 2 years, is particularly effective. I can't believe we're doing this. Like, this is a podcast on politics, and we're coaching Dr. Fauci on how virology works. This is embarrassing. I'm serious. It's embarrassing. Please, to the fact check losers out there, please correct anything I just said. Is natural immunity a thing or not? Do people who've had coronavirus have natural immunity? Number 3, do you disagree that we don't know how durable it is because we've only had it 2 years? And maybe 4, we should figure that out before we demand people take a vaccine under penalty of losing their job. Please, what about that is controversial? But we live in this new cold civil war of censorship. Saying any of those things is considered controversial. Here, by the way, hat tip Tom Elliott, the great Tom Elliott from Grabian. He posted this HHS letter I'd never seen before to his social media feed. Here, you see this part in the middle? This is from the Department of Health and Human Services to all the mask people out there, obsessed with spending their entire day focused on masks. Quote, CDC is not aware of any randomized control trials that show that masks or double masks or cloth masks are effective against COVID-19. I'd never seen that before. But again, let's spend the entire day on vaccine mandates and masks. Forget therapeutics, any of that other stuff. Just let's spend the entire day on masks. But the media, don't worry, folks, says it's not a choice, the vaccine mandate, because they seem to know more. You had that dreadful Dr. Leanna Wen. You know what, Jim, I know you listen. Can you pull that for the radio show? I didn't have enough time for the podcast anyway. Remember Leanna Wen from CNN, who every week is making an appearance for more of her stupidity? Yeah, she was on CNN suggesting that the right to travel between states and board a plane is not a constitutional right. She's never apparently seen the privileges and immunities clause of the Constitution. Again, these are the people on TV. Dr. Leanna Wen, very serious person. She's an MD, Joe. That's not in the Constitution anywhere, the right to travel to. Actually, it is. You should probably read the Constitution sometime before you go on the air and comment. But you're comment on it. But you're Leanna Wen. Here's another media dunce. This is Cheryl Stolberg, very serious person from the New York Times. She's their coronavirus reporter who says, yeah, you know, the vaccine thing totally knows nothing about natural immunity or anything. She's like, this is definitely not your choice. You will get it because I'm from the New York Times and I tell you to get it. Here, check this out.
I'm sorry to be coarse about this, but there are hundreds of thousands of people who are dead because they did not take the vaccine. The science is playing out before our eyes.
Right. So a couple of things about what the governor said. First of all, in an infectious disease outbreak, getting vaccinated is not a personal choice. It's not.
Yeah, it is. It is. You're just a crazy person. Yes, it is. And we're not taking our advice from you idiots, the PP tape hoaxers at the New York Times. Folks, do not trust these people. Here, you want the coup de grace? You want the icing on the cake right here? Here is Dr. This is Dr. Anthony Fauci. Yes, Anthony Fauci, not Anthony Fauci. This is a different, he looks like Anthony Fauci, but it's not. This is Dr. Anthony Fauci. Guy found this tomorrow. It's a bizarre thing. But this is a guy who gives us some, he looks like Anthony Fauci, which is crazy. Here is Anthony Fauci 2 years ago on with Bloomberg. He's like a twin to Dr. Anthony Fauci, saying a bunch of common sense things that Anthony Fauci's not saying now. Like, don't get into mask hysteria. You know, live your life, eat healthy, exercise, life goes on. So here's Anthony Fauci, looks a lot like Anthony Fauci, 2 years ago on Bloomberg, giving common sense advice that Anthony Fauci today, his almost twin, is not giving, just completely contradictory, reaffirming Guy's point that if you put this in any search engine, you can get Anthony Fauci or Anthony Fauci to say anything you want. Check this out.
The best way for me to prevent getting an infectious disease and having to have you as my doctor is what? Wearing a mask.
No.
I don't need to do that. If I can see they're ready to sneeze or cough, walk away.
You avoid all the paranoid aspects and do something positive. A, good diet. B, you don't smoke, I know. I know you don't drink, at least not very much, so that's pretty good. Get some exercise. I know that you don't get as much exercise as you should.
That's correct.
Get good sleep. I think that the normal, low-tech, healthy things are the best thing that you can do, David, is stay healthy.
All right, well, I'm going to try to do that, and hopefully when I next see you, I will be even healthier than I am today.
Okay, so Anthony Fauci totally refuting the now current, that was 2 years ago, refuting the advice of Anthony Fauci today, saying, yeah, don't get into the mask hysteria, live a healthy life, and, life goes on. Don't be paranoid. Of course, it's a dumb joke. Of course, that's Anthony Fauci. Again, as Guy said before, just type in Anthony Fauci, whatever. Anthony Fauci loves masks. Anthony Fauci. Masks are paranoid. Anthony Fauci. Live in your house. Don't go out. Quarantine yourself 24 hours a day. Anthony Fauci. Don't be paranoid. Live healthy. Eat a healthy life. I mean, one more just for the sake of showing you how awful these people really are. Again, hat tip Tom Elliott over at Grabian. Here's a supercut from Tom Elliott with government officials, Peppermint Patty, Joe Biden and others. Here is a supercut of all of them saying, Fauci, of course, how vaccine mandates that they now say are the thing. This is the thing. You want to be cool? You got to get a vaccine. Vaccine mandates, hip, edgy, live with, given the surfer dude thing. Here's him a while ago saying how vaccine mandates suck and they're not the right thing. Again, whatever position you want, it's like the 8-ball thing. Whatever position you want, you'll eventually find it with these losers. Check this out.
We cannot require someone to be vaccinated. That's just not what we can do.
Needless to say, the right of women to make decisions about their own bodies is not negotiable.
No, definitely not. You don't want to mandate and try and force anyone to take a vaccine. We've never done that.
Our interest is very simple from the federal government, which is Americans' privacy and rights should be protected.
It is a matter of privacy to know who is or who isn't.
We don't want to be mandating from the federal government to the general population. It would be unenforceable and not appropriate.
Perhaps the federal government should step in and issue mandates, and if not, are you putting the needs of unvaccinated people ahead of the needs of vaccinated people?
Well, I think the question here, one, that's not the role of the federal government.
No, I don't think it should be mandatory. I wouldn't demand to be mandatory. First, we must increase vaccinations among the unvaccinated with new vaccination requirements.
The odd part about this, Mary Catherine Ham made a great point. She said, isn't it just really crazy how the people who worked throughout the pandemic in the early days, when we had no idea what was going on. Sorry, I didn't mean to be distracted. I was reading some stuff from some feedback from a fan, and they want me to correct some stuff. But your feedback matters. But the early days of the pandemic, we had no idea what the R naught was, the lethality of the virus. No idea. The early days of the pandemic, some people thought the lethality of the virus was 20%. 20% of people contracted it would die. It wasn't, of course. But people thought the R naught, the infectiousness of it was higher. But people, grocery store clerks, sanitation workers, cops, firemen, EMTs, doctors and stuff, they all went to work. Many of them got sick. Many of them died. But some didn't. Some recovered and are now conferred with some sense of natural immunity. And we don't know how long it lasts, but we know it's real, obviously. So now they have natural immunity because they suffered for you. The irony now of forcing them, many of them who don't want a vaccine, who have natural immunity. The irony of now, after they worked for you, as many of us, me included, didn't have to commute. Although I'm not imposing on them anything. But I'm not above that. We relied on them. And now the irony of us who got to work from home, many of us, the entire time, and these liberals, because I know it's you not doing it. I'm certainly not pushing it. But these liberals now pushing on them, you will do what we say and get a vaccine. Weird, huh? All All right, folks. Thanks again for tuning in. I really appreciate it. By the way, thanks to everyone who joined. Jorge Masvidal, UFC fighter, just a terrific guy, fighter for freedom and liberty, too. He's always speaking out against the oppression in Cuba. Is on Rumble. He had a great Rumble rant this weekend. It's like a live chat where you can join in. Go check it out on Jorge Masvidal. Subscribe to his account on Rumble. It's terrific. I make an appearance at about the 36-minute mark. It's pretty funny. Yeah, check that out. You'll like it. And then subscribe to my Rumble account too, rumble.com/Bongino. See you on the radio a little later. Thanks for tuning in.
You just heard The Dan Bongino Show.